also, I did most of my work behind the scenes as a writer, and then as the leader of the writing department for the company as it grew, voice acting along the way, and now I just still do sort of part-time voice acting, and I'm continuing to be amazed that Dragon Ball and you on the show and anime in general is as big as it's ever been, if not bigger. Wonderful.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
So I actually started as an accountant, and can you hear me? I have had bronchitis, so I'm a little hoarse. But I started as an accountant before I got into acting, and so Pan was the first. Okay. Yeah, I will do this. I've had bronchitis. I have asthma, and so I get it. Upper respiratory infection about twice a year. It's delightful as a voice actor. So I was an accountant and got into acting. Pan was actually the first thing I auditioned for. I loved animation, but I had not been introduced to anime until I auditioned for Pan, and then became part of this Dragon Ball world. But very much like John, I had no idea that all these years later I would be talking about Dragon Ball, still voicing Pan in the Dragon Ball games. Like, it's pretty amazing. And then one thing that I did do, I was not a martial artist. Like, I didn't do martial arts when I voiced Pan, but I later did Taekwondo, kind of as a result of it. So be very afraid. I'm an advanced purple belt.
So,
Y'all don't look afraid.
So just like Pan, you were brand new to the anime world, and you're learning how to be a voice actor. You say yourself you were an accountant. So it was all fresh to you.
It was all new. Now, I was an accountant. I did start doing on-camera acting. So I was doing on-camera acting, and I was in an improv troupe, and I was taking the classes, and I was doing all the things. And what you will hear a lot of actors say, acting is acting. So I was taking acting classes and doing on-camera acting, and I had started taking voice acting classes. So I was headed down that road. So it wasn't like I just showed up and went, I'm going to voice Pan. I was doing all the things.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's really wonderful to hear. Because a lot of people, they want to know how people got introduced to it, how they got involved with it. And, people think it's just occurs overnight. And it's not. So you put in the work as well. I'm pretty sure this is what John did too. So with that being said, do you have anything that you would like to share with us regarding your character Tien and how it has impacted the people around? I'm pretty sure you've done a lot of conventions all over the United States. So how has it influenced people around the world when it comes to interacting about Tien and how it has influenced them?
I don't know. I don't know how much influence Tien has had in the grand scheme of things. But Tien has his share of fans, and I do appreciate whenever I do a convention or appearance of any kind. There will be a number of people who come up and say, Tien is one of my favorites, or is my favorite, or is the best human character, and you know what? I agree. All of that is true. All of it's true. He's the best. Tien is the best. I do appreciate Tien. He doesn't have a lot of screen time in the later parts of the Dragon Ball saga, but he's got a very specific character type where he knows he's surrounded by challenges. He knows he's surrounded by characters who are way stronger than him. He knows he doesn't have any chance of really winning on his own. But when he is called upon to help, he shows up and he gives it his all, and he does what he can. And I think that's a really, I think that's a really great character trait to have. It's just to always be trying to better yourself and always work at your peak potential to do what you can to help the world around you. So I don't know if he's gonna have anything more to do as the future progresses in the next chapters of Dragon Ball, but as I keep saying, send your cards and letters to Toei in Japan. Tell them we need more Tien. Tien needs his own show.
And Chaozu and Yamcha are the characters, and Yato I guess.
We need the extended adventures of Tien and Chaozu, buddy cop comedy.
Yes.
Yamcha manga spin-off. It's kind of got reincarnated as Yamcha I'm talking about.
And how about yourself, Elise? With Pan, I know you pretty much influence a lot of young ladies out there that are wonderful to see such a wonderful character arise in the show itself.
Yeah, so I love doing Pan, and you're right, like I've had some cool stories where little girls have said, I'm thinking of one story in particular where she was probably about 8 and said, I loved Pan because it showed me that you can be tough and spunky, but also love your family and kind of be well-rounded. So that was neat to hear because, you know, when I started with Pan, I was just so excited that I didn't have to be an accountant. Now I got to be a voice actor, not a camera actor. And then you get totally wrapped up in the character. And then you go to conventions and hear these wonderful stories. And I feel like that's been the biggest blessing of all is interacting with people and hearing their stories about Pan or Dragon Ball or anime in general. So I really loved it.
And how wonderful is it to finally get your own pop?
Oh yes, I got a pop. It was so exciting.
Yeah, so you look at the last time, you know that.
How does it feel to like see these characters in a collectible item and be able to, authenticate it with your own autograph and you make it unique for the experience of the individual itself?
Oh, it's so fun. I mean, whether it's a pop or Prince or sure. What's your question? Ooh, good one. What inspired us to become voice actors? So I actually first wanted to become an actor when I was in college. So I majored in accounting, got my MBA, just decided that, I don't know, acting sounded so much fun, but there wasn't a lot for me to do where I was in school in Louisiana. So I moved to Dallas, was working as a financial analyst in the defense industry. And my best friend gave me an acting class because he heard me talking about acting all the time, and he was like, all right, already, take an acting class. And so this is the short version, and I took an acting class. I didn't know any actors at all. I didn't know how to do it, but I'm really good at making to-do lists. And so I was like, okay, this is fun. My accounting job, not so much, no offense to you accountants out there. So I made my checklist and I started asking questions, and I was like, okay, I want to turn the acting stuff into a career. And then it started with on camera, like I mentioned, and then voiceover. And I eventually jumped in and quit my corporate job and pursued acting. So that's my story. What's your story?
I don't have a specific moment where I was like, I really want to be a voice actor. As I was growing up and coming up through school, I discovered that my interests were in more creative endeavors. Visual storytelling, writing was where most of my training was. Music. I played in a band for many years where I guess we were semi-pro, you could say, by the end of it. But basically, I didn't have a fine point on what direction I wanted to go, but I knew that I wanted to be involved in these creative endeavors. So as soon as I found myself in a place where I had an opportunity to participate, then I just started saying yes to everything. I interviewed with Funimation. I got a job as an audio engineer. As soon as I'm in the room, my boss says, hey, we need somebody to work on these scripts, punching up the scripts. Can you do that? You got an English degree? Sure, sign me up. Hey, we need somebody to play these little bit parts that show up in this episode for a line or two. Hey, can you do that? Yeah, sure, sign me up. And then finally it came to, hey, we need somebody for Tien who has a similar voice type. and then my boss and Chris Sabat, who was the director at the time, got together and they're like, well, who should we cast for Tien? And Chris goes, well, I think John here is probably okay. Yes, sign me up. So they threw me in the booth, and then so that's where I all of a sudden now it's like, okay, I guess I'm doing some voice acting stuff. So then I started participating in auditions for future shows and started getting more roles. So it was just something that just kind of happened organically based on being in the right place at the right time. So I think that's the lesson for anyone who wants to pursue anything in the a creative endeavor or whatever endeavor it is. It's just you put your butt where your heart wants to be, and then start saying yes to the opportunities that present themselves.
Anybody else have another question? What was that, son?
What voice
Oh, what voice do we do?
Yeah, what voice? Maybe you can name your characters that you voiced throughout
the main ones. So I do the voice of Tien in Dragon Ball Z, Kurama in Yu Yu Hakusho, Fruits Basket, Shigure for anyone who knows Fruits Basket. I've done I've done a few different roles throughout One Piece. Lucky Roo, Iron Fist Full Body. What's his Hitetsu Tenguyama recently in One Piece. I've done a lot of characters in different shows over the years, mostly supporting roles, but the major ones are Tien and Kurama.
How about yourself?
So, Pan from Dragon Ball GT, Momiji's mother in Fruits Basket. Got some Fruits Basket people here. Yeah. Right there in the,
Yoko!
And let's see, Ayame and Yu Yu Hakusho. Recently, Mai from Hokkaido Gals are super adorable. I've done Yoko Kino and Case Closed. Oh, Case Closed, yeah. Pan's my main one, but a lot of different shows. So, yes, question.
For John, what was your favorite season from Yu Yu Hakusho?
What's my favorite what?
Season.
My favorite season?
Yeah,
My favorite season from Yu Yu Hakusho, it would have to be Dark Tournament, right?
yes.
It has to be Dark Tournament, specifically the episodes around where Kurama transforms into Yoko, and then getting to explore, the duality of the character there, and get to play with putting my voice in a different place. That was a challenging moment in the show, and I was really happy with what we were able to do with it. You'll have to forgive me that it's been a long time. It's been a hot minute since we recorded, so my memory of a lot of the specific details are a little fuzzy, but I do know that the Dark Tournament was where it was at with Yu Yu Hakusho.
Anybody else have a question they would like to share? I know you have one. Same guy. You good?
So, in Dragon Ball GT, would you say Super Saiyan 4 was like a real good look for Goku and Vegeta?
Oh. Yes. Boom, mic drop. Here till Thursday, y'all. Yes. Would you?
I would take Super Saiyan 4 over the new forms.
You would?
Would someone take place before GT
Yeah.
existed?
I wish Pan would have gone Super
I
Saiyan.
wish she had a role to transform too. So there were many opportunities where she could have transformed.
Oh yeah, she could have.
And I was a little bit sad that they didn't, because there hasn't been like a female Super Saiyan, and
Have you watched all of us?
there's been a lot of places where she could have been Super Saiyan.
Yeah, Pan could. That's what I hear a lot. Yeah.
So the controversy is, I know that people don't consider Dragon Ball GT to be part of an original series, but I
And Super.
believe this series,
Khalifa.
mainly because it's Super Saiyan.
Hey,
But
GT is awesome, and I'm not biased at all.
Yeah, I love ZT. I love go tune in for that matter.
that is wonderful.
So I kind of wish they appear more often after GT though, even if some of they existed for that matter. See that?
What are some of y'all's favorite moments when you interact with individuals such as, have you had any memorable moments?
Like at conventions? Oh, that's a good question. So he was asking, and be thinking of questions because we're open books. So he was asking memorable questions at conventions. I think one of my favorites, so I've just been doing conventions since 2018. Actually, I did my first one with John, like back when I recorded. So I did 2 when I recorded GT and then skipped and just started in 2018. So I think one of my first conventions this go round, when I really realized the impact of Dragon Ball, there was a grandfather, a father, and a son. So 3 generations who came up and just told me how they were watching as a family, because the grandfather and father had watched, and then all 3 generations had watched, and they were just sharing how much Dragon Ball meant to them. And I still get chills thinking about it, and we're just like, wow, like that's pretty incredible. So that's still one of my favorite moments from convention life. What about you?
I haven't been doing conventions recently for that many myself. You're talking about KamehaCon in like 2018, which was probably like the first convention that I had done in a very, very long time. But prior to that, I had an opportunity to go out. Like conventions they've exploded like in recent years. But I had an opportunity to go out and do some stuff with. You remember the old Yu Hakusho trading card game? We would go out on tour and make little stops at various conventions with those. And then I think there was an anniversary box set or something coming out for Yu Hakusho, and I think this was back in like 2011. And Funimation booked a panel stage at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was me and Justin Cook and Chris Sabat, and we were signed up, and all we were there for was just like a 1-hour panel. We didn't do signings, we didn't do any of that stuff. It was just we showed up to do this panel, and just getting there, and there's Comic-Con, and this was like 15, 14 years ago. It's like so much bigger now, but even then it was like, whoa, there are so many people here. Whoa, this is big. And then we go into the room that we're going to be in, and we're just like going through this little side door. We go in this little side door and come up on the stage, and we look out, and we're in this room, and there's just like, I don't know, there's like 1,000 people or whatever, like in this room, and they're all there, and like they see us on stage, and they're, ah! And I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, am I famous?
You wish.
Am I big time? Did I make it? I don't know. It was just like it's stuck in my mind. It's most of my work, has always been. It's like we're in the studio. There's 2 or 3 of us in the room, or it's been behind a computer, like working on a script, and it's not just. I don't know. I haven't like gone out and interacted in like the larger world while doing the work. So to like walk into the room and just be like, wow, there are people who really are into what we're doing. It just kind of, I don't know, it hit home for me that maybe we were doing some good.
Yeah, I was standing outside. I didn't do KamehaCon 1. I just came to watch. And so I met somebody outside, and they were going to let me in, and somebody said, "Oh, Elise Baughman." I was like, "Oh, did we go to high school together?" She's like, "No, you voice Pan." And I went, "Oh, I do voice Pan. How do you know that?" She's like, "Well, there's this thing called the internet, and we used it." Because I was like, "How do you know that I voice Pan?" I seriously thought I went to high school. I was like, "Oh, did I forget your name?" So it was because I had not been doing conventions, so it was funny. I was embarrassed.
Now, have you guys been around in each public and like run into people that are talking about Dragon Ball, characters that you guys voice, and you guys, they don't even know that you're standing right next to them. Like you had moments like that.
You must have.
Well, no, I mean it's nothing specific comes to mind, but there are instances where I'll be like walking around the grocery store or like just hanging out at a going to eat at a restaurant or whatnot, and like the person in line in front of me or sitting at the table next to me is wearing like a Dragon Ball Z or a Yu Yu Hakusho T-shirt, and I'm just kind of like.
I'm gonna rock the world today. Yeah.
It's like if they only knew. If they only knew.
That's true.
Yeah.
You have a question?
Similar.
For John, where was Chuck Huber in that panel? It was only you, Chris Sabat, and Justin. Where was Chuck?
I don't know. I don't know. Like of all the people that like Chris and Justin. It's like of course Chris and Justin.
You have to
are
have the
gonna be there.
foursome. You have to have all four to do.
Of course, Chris and Justin are going to be there.
Boy.
Like, why invite me at all? I don't know. But I'm not sure where Chuck. It's long enough ago that maybe he was there, and I just don't remember. We would have to look that up.
So, I know you all love. What's the show that you love?
Fruit basket.
Fruit basket.
Yes.
Okay.
is actually my favorite.
Kelsey?
He's a food
So what's the show about? I'm sorry, I don't, not really with
What's Fruit Basket about?
She probably knows best. She wrote it over and over.
Finding love and healing from deep emotional trauma. That's what it's about. Shall we talk about it? This took a turn.
well, you have the mic, so you're
Fruit Basket is a very special show. It's like I don't know, it just gets you right there.
She gets upset if you watch it and she can't stop watching it.
The original or the reboot or both? The 2019. Yeah.
The whole story, the full story.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of fan base manga as well. When me and my brother was younger, we kind of got into martial arts for that. I did a lot of Bruce Lee, Jet Li, a lot of defending martial arts. Dragon Ball Z was one of the ones as well that got me into working out. Got me into like, you know what? I can get into this. I can, if I push my training, if I put my time and discipline, I can achieve. I read a lot of, I got a lot of fighting gloves, Aikido, a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and I just started to go with it, and Dragon Ball the series itself, just in general, was a big aspect of my life. And it still is,
That's pretty awesome. I've heard that from other people too. Like it kind of taught them discipline. Here, I'll talk with Mike. So he was saying Dragon Ball kind of inspired. I'm going to summarize, but inspired him to work out. But I have heard that Dragon Ball was an inspiration for discipline or for martial arts or working out or something. And I think that's pretty cool. I mean, that's another story that I've heard from people. And I think that is amazing that you can look at an anime or look at Dragon Ball and find some inspiration that you apply to your life. Like that's really cool that it had that effect and that impact on your life. Yeah. Yeah, she said the same thing. Yeah, that it inspires, and that's pretty cool. That a show inspires you to be your best. Yes.
There's a couple of sayings that come to mind. There's one saying, a famous saying. It's pain is weakness leaving the body. And there's another expression. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Dragon Ball Z is almost like almost like Toriyama said, okay, what if I took those two sayings and just made it into a show? Because that's just kind of the whole show.
That's true.
And it's very inspirational in that way.
It is. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, sure.
Touching base on what you guys just covered, it's wonderful to hear, and I'm so glad to hear that from y'all and many, many more people as well. But to share a little bit of what I used to do, I was a combat medic in the military. I was part of the 2nd Infantry Division. I was in Afghanistan. I did my combat tour over there. I was part of a reconnaissance team. And after every single fight, I would go back to my bunker and I would watch reruns that I had saved on my tablet of Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you, because everything you guys put forward was able to help me get through those hard moments. And if it wasn't for anime, I probably wouldn't be here right now. So thank you so much, because you guys, just like Tien, he always kept facing horrible, hard challenges, even though he knew he couldn't face them or be stronger, but he still was there, he was present, and he kept fighting through it. So he is one of my favorite characters. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, because he always showed up. You're right. He was always there trying his best. And for Pan, I mean, young lady, she's feisty. and I think I speak for many, many Hispanic personnel, we're very spicy people. So we relate with Pan a lot. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. And I've only shared this once. So
Thanks for Danny as well.
Anybody else have a question you would like to
Yeah.
So, getting into the role of your character, how did that process work? Like, how did you just bring out the character? That's like always intrigued me, like how you can bring the emotions and everything of a character to life. Like, I know acting, it's visual and everything, but voice acting is, I feel, it's a little bit more harder because you have to get in tune with the character. So how does that process work?
So he was asking, like, how did we get into our roles and how do you find the character, right? So, and I'll answer for Pan as an example. I loved Pan from the get-go, so I was pretty feisty as a kid. Probably as an adult too. I was an athlete growing up. So even though I didn't do martial arts growing up, I did do sports, and so I love my family. And I don't remember the exact description because, like John said, it has been a while since I auditioned for Pan, but I just remember connecting with her immediately. And then, if you notice, if I get really excited and go, "Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you!" Like right now, I'm a little hoarse, but when I get excited, I just go up in my register a little bit. So Pan is just higher in my register. So I was like, "Oh, okay. So you're telling me she's 13, 14. So, Grandpa." My favorite line is cheeseburgers, fries, and blueberry pies. So I was just thinking, she's younger, she's fun, she's funky, she fights, and yeah. So for me, it was kind of easy to connect with her, and then keep getting into the voice. So that was at least my story for Pan.
I think for most of the characters that I've ever played, I don't have like formal training as an actor, so a lot of actors will come at it from like an inside out, approach, and they'll get into the, sort of emotional space of a character and then bring it out from there. I kind of do the opposite. I do like sort of outside in, and I start with, okay, well, this is how this character sounds. Like what voice can I make that sounds like it should be coming out of this character's face? What matches? And then once I have that, then it's just, okay, well, now how do we work with that? And it's a lot of it. I take a lot of inspiration from like listening to the Japanese actors. It's just like, okay, so now they're giving me a model, and I've spent so much of my time like growing up like watching movies and television and studying like actors and listening to them, that it's just like I kind of have a good ear for like how something should sound, or rather like when something sounds wrong, I'm like, no, that's let's not do that. So I kind of come at it from that angle.
And he brings up a good point, because some actors do dive deep. When I do on-camera acting, because I've done TV and film, I take a deeper dive and think about the backstory. And I've done roles. I seem to get these roles where I have to cry, because I have a comedy background, but I kept booking roles where I had to cry a lot. And I was like, oh, I gotta go over here and be emotional and like get into the roles. Sometimes with voice acting, you don't always, is like with anime, I don't feel like I've always had the time to really like work on the backstory and dive deep. So it for me at least has been a little different with my voiceover characters compared to my on-camera characters. So, yeah.
You made it big. Like that one scene when he came out of Goku in the Jeep form, he just aligned his face. Pan is the one that brought him out of it and turned him into a shoe tank. Without Pan, he would have still aligned the face going out, wrestling. But with her crying and that one tear brought him to know that hey, this is Earth. And he looks at it and he's like, stop, leave me alone. Reached out to the earth and he's like, ah, and then he's like, hey, I have to send it. Scramble.
Oh, yeah.
That's that brings Pan brought him into the Super Saiyan form series. That was awesome. That was a big scene right there. That one big tear, you just saw it, he's like, ah, touch it. And he looks at his eye, and he just pushed it aside and looked at me, he's like, forcing it, just concentrating his whole life into that one moment, and he get him into his thinking to that Super Saiyan force, and that Super Saiyan force where he came to that form where he is today. That was a big scene.
That's a good scene. Yeah.
So, as you can see, all your characters have been a big influence. That published that show, also Dragon Ball, honestly, Tien, and that was wonderful. But is there anything that you guys would wish you could, pursue in the future? Any projects that are coming up that we can talk about?
I'm waiting for Steven Spielberg to call me. He has not called. Nope.
Music too?
We're all waiting on Steven Spielberg to call us. I don't have I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of ambition, I will say, as far as like going out there and getting a role with Steven Spielberg. But for as long as Tien or any of my other characters continue to pop up, or for as long as anyone at the Crunchyroll studio thinks to call me in, I'm always happy to keep doing more anime. It's been a ride, and I'm happy for it to continue for as long as I'm physically able to do it.
You have a question?
Yeah. What characters who inspired you? Like, who made you believe that you could be
Oh, he's asking what anime made us believe that we could be a voice actor. So I loved animation, because I think I may have mentioned earlier I didn't know about anime until I was introduced to Dragon Ball. I will say, if anybody inspired me, it was really my parents, and maybe that's cliche, but they instilled confidence in me that I could do whatever I wanted to. I don't think they wanted me to be an actor. Probably they were more supportive of the accounting. They are very supportive now, but yeah, I think it was my parents. I don't know if maybe not that. I'd have to really think about it. I loved animation, so I loved cartoons. Do you have an anime inspiration?
Frieza.
Yes. There you go. Good answer. Good answer. Did you hear that, Mom?
Do you know who his mom is?
Frieza.
Linda, yeah. That's so literal. That is the best answer.
That's my mother.
Oh my God. I'm not worthy.
I grew up with your voice.
You can come to Mike and walk out now.
Oh no, I mean, we can't talk that the rest of the show. Huh? Yeah, Linda is his Like real life moms.
Like biological?
True story.
Like biological mom?
Yeah, biological mom. Like, true story. Yeah.
Well, now speaking of that, so how did you like your mom playing Frieza? Like, was it something that inspired you like to get into it, or was it just?
That's what I wonder sometimes.
In a sense, when Funimation relocated the cast to Dallas, they put out an open audition call. They printed it in the back of the Dallas Observer, the free city newspaper that I'm sure it still exists. Does it still exist? I don't know. But it was just like an open advertisement in the classifieds, basically. It said, hey, here's open auditions for anyone who wants to come. And Linda, my mom, and many of her actor friends, she's been in the business for a long time. They saw this and they said, well, we're going to go try. And she gave me a call and she said, you should try this too. And I'd never done any sort of voice acting. I'd never done whatever. I was still just fresh out of college. But I was like, why not? I'll give it a try. And in that audition, she got the part of Frieza. I got Bupkis.
Oh yeah.
I got passed over and didn't get a role. But that day, that call, that audition, when I came into audition, I auditioned for Chris Sabat, was the guy who was running the audition. And then a year later, when an opportunity came where there was an opening at the company for an engineer position, my mom was in the session and she discovered that this was an opening. She said to Chris, she said, hey, my son might be good at this kind of a job. And having met me at that audition, we had connected a little bit there and talked. He said, you know what, I bet he would. And I came home that day and I had a message on my answering machine. Answering machines are an ancient device that some of us remember, from Chris Sabat. He's like, hey, this is Chris Sabat at Funimation. We got a job opening, and you should probably, I was talking to your mom, and you should probably send her a resume. Okay, he's a complete stranger. I mean, like, basically a stranger. And so, you know, just that day and that meeting led to that phone call, led to me applying, led to a 20-year career.
Now, have you guys ever had debates in your anime voices with some of your family members?
No. I would lose.
Now, this is going to be a fun question. Please
Okay.
have fun with it. Do not take it too serious. But do you think Pan as an adult and Tien as an adult already is, he is, would they vote today?
They vote?
Would they vote?
Wait, oh come on, it wasn't even.
Yes, they would vote.
There you go.
We're not telling who.
Yes, man. And that is nice. I just said vote.
Yes.
They are good citizens.
That's wonderful to hear, guys. You guys have any else questions for them?
Questions, yes.
How was it for voicing Yoko in Case Closed?
Oh, Yoko Kino in Case Closed. It was really fun, and I got to sing in that, that's the other thing. I'm not a singer, but I keep booking these roles where I sing. Like I also sang in Boz the Bear, which is animation and not anime. So I loved doing Yoko Okino. I really enjoyed that. And Case Closed is such a good show. Yeah.
They redubbed it.
Oh,
They redubbed it, and episodes are airing right now on Crunchyroll.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
They released a whole new cast, whole new movies. They finally dubbed the Lupin III versus Detective Conan movie. And right now the episode's airing right now on Crunchyroll. I don't know in Japanese or in English right now. New episode's coming out.
What else? We've got to have one more before we go. Yes! I knew one was coming from back there. Yeah.
What was your
like in the scenes. Yeah. Well, it's, I mean, heartbreaking scene. Oh, so she asked my emotional response when I'm. Yes, so you had, so she's asking my emotional response as Momichi's mother in Fruits Basket. And spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it. But I mean, you kind of had to, I had to separate because me as Elise, I knew what was happening. But then as the character, I couldn't know what was happening. So I had to just play it as like somebody who doesn't know. And then at the same time, so I had, you know, a standard American dialect for the original, and then had to do a German accent for the reboot, which, shout out, like my husband speaks a little German, he had to coach me. Yay, YouTube. I've never worked so hard. And then Caitlin Glass, like the director, she is a rock star. She has such a good accent that I actually thought she spoke German. So then I was trying to do the acting, the matching the flaps, and then the German accent, but trying to keep the emotion out of it because I couldn't know what really was happening. So it was an interesting dynamic there. Yeah. Good question.
How have these roles changed your original voice as your person?
Good question. Like how have the roles changed? I don't think my voice has changed. Yeah. Has yours?
My voice is definitely a little lower and got a little more gravel in it than it used to. I don't know if that, I wouldn't say that that's because of the roles, that's just because of the years. But yeah, so it's going to be really interesting. I was really excited. We had an opportunity, I guess it was a little over a year ago now, to go back and record the Yu Yu Hakusho OVAs that had come out. And it had been, you know, whatever it was, 15, 20 years since I had done Kurama as a character. And so, okay, they called me in to do it again. I was like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can get my voice in the place that it was. And Justin, he pulled up some old clips of Kurama. He's like, look, here's what you sounded like when we finished. I was like, okay, so I tried to like sync up with those and fell right back into it. It's like riding a bike. Came right back. So I was really excited. And so if they ever have more Yu Yu Hakusho to do, sign me up.
Oh, what do you think of the live action version that came out on Netflix?
I have not had the opportunity to see it yet.
Oh,
But I hope they keep it going.
Well, thank you guys so much. It was wonderful to have a great one-on-one with you guys.
Oh,
It's always a
thank you.
pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much. Any last words for our great fan here?
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Let's give it up one more time, guys.
Yeah!